A disability is something that has a major impact on your life.
Every disability is different.
And it's never the same thing for two people. I am blind in my right eye totally and partially sighted in my left eye.
I was 18 years old. We were traveling way too fast on a gravel road. Broke my neck, my back.
My Asperger's syndrome and my cerebral palsy.
I have anxiety and depression. People would have no idea just talking to me.
Being independent means different things to different people.
I want to live in my own house. I want to pay my own bills.
Live independently and not rely on other people.
When someone is not able to live as independently as they can, it does have a detrimental effect on people's physical and mental well-being.
It's no complicated thing. It's just that people with disabilities want to be included.
Plenty of people get stuck in ruts when they feel like they can't overcome something in their life. That's where Lyft comes in.
Living independently for today and tomorrow. Lyft. We help people of all ages and all types of disabilities find the resources or acquire the skills to live as independently as possible.
We serve the southeastern 18 counties here at the Billings office. We have a variety of things that we offer. We can help with grant funding for adaptive equipment.
Maybe a home modification so they're able to access their home. We help people to find that funding.
Helping people apply for Social Security benefits.
Medicaid, Medicare, housing.
They have a peer support group. Peer support, I think, is key.
Sharing life experiences is one of the most powerful things to help people who might be new to disability, who might be struggling with their disability.
Youth transitions is kids that are transitioning out of high school. They need to learn those adulting skills. It might be rent an apartment, learn how to grocery shop, budgeting.
Help someone advocate for themselves in a school or an employment setting. One of our biggest strengths is providing folks with information and referral. If we can't help you, we hope to know who can.
A lot of times we'll have a potential consumer call in and they think that they just have one need, and it turns out that we end up finding 3 or 4 things we can actually do for them.
You can just come in and say, hey, I feel like I have this going on. Can you help me? And we can, which is so cool to me. I love that.
Most of us on staff at Lyft have identified ourselves as having one or more disabilities. That is helpful in many cases.
It's easier to empathize with someone when you yourself have struggled with a disability.
This is what we specialize in. This is who we are, and this is what we do.
And it costs nothing to go to Lyft. It's a nonprofit organization and they're there to help.
Somebody that was a consumer that was working with Lyft was asked to do an art project. He visualized that the balloon helps to lift people up. And then it became the logo, and it's stuck.
There's been success on all kinds of levels.
It's really rewarding to have a consumer go, hey, I was able to do this by myself today.
We want people to live their best life as independent as possible.
Live as everyone else in society and live as a part of society, not apart from society.
Everybody needs help. Sometimes you just need a little more help, and that's okay. That's absolutely okay.
There's plenty of life to live still, and there's a way you can do it. Keep chipping away at it, little by little by little.
Knowledge is power. Let's share it, for crying out loud.
Send us an email, give us a call. We'll do our best to help.
We can definitely help figure out what your needs are and get started on that. We're one of many steps in the path to independence, and we're happy to be serving people here in the community.
Good day and welcome to Living Well in Montana. Living Well in Montana is a program of living independently for today and tomorrow, or LIFT, L-I-F-T-T as we like to call ourselves. LIFT is a nonprofit known as the Center for Independent Living. We are a nonprofit source of information, resources, and advocacy for people with all types of disabilities and at any age across our 18 county service area in south central and southeastern Montana. For more information about LIFT, I encourage you to please visit our website at www.lift.org, or you can download our LIFT app. Just search LIFTT in the Google Play or Apple App Store. My name is Jed Barton, and it's my privilege to be the public relations specialist at LIFT. Our guest today is someone who is more used to sitting on this side of the table of the camera, and it will be familiar to those of you who've seen other episodes of this program. It is LIFT's Outreach Director, John Robison. And John is here today as a guest because our topic, veteran services, is one that he has a passion for and a great amount of both professional and personal experience with. Before we get started here, I'd like to mention that if you or someone you know are a veteran in crisis, we encourage you to pick up your phone and dial 988, and when prompted, press 1, and you will be connected with someone who can direct you to appropriate crisis resources. Thank you. So John, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
You yourself are a veteran. You were in the U.S. Army for over 20 years, correct?
Yeah. I served in the U.S. Army for just a little over 26 years.
Okay.
And so that is why helping out veterans at LIFT, I consider it near and dear to my heart. I love it.
Okay. Could you talk a little bit about what you did in a 26-year career? No doubt you had lots of jobs, but...
Oh, yeah. So my time in the military, I wore many hats, just like I do now at LIFT. When I initially signed up, I enlisted as a forward observer, fire support specialist. Then from there, I spent time overseas, Germany, Korea, a few other places. My assignments here in the States happened to be Fort Lewis, Washington, Fort Campbell, Kentucky, with the mighty 101st Airborne Division. For any fans out there, 101st is amazing. Fort Sill, Oklahoma, where I was an instructor, teaching people the basics on how to blow things up.
The artillery school, right?
Yep, home of the field artillery. I did just about everything you could do for that position. Okay. I retired in 2014 as a Master Sergeant, and during which time, obviously, I deployed several times to Iraq, Afghanistan, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and other locations as needed.
Yeah, you deployed during the 1991 war, as well as since September 11th, 2001.
Yep.
Okay. Again, as is the experience of many veterans, and Montana is unique because we are in the top 1 or 2 depending on the day or the statistic you read. It trades places with a couple other small western states, but Montana is one of the highest per capita residents of veterans. Again, the number of Montanans per 1,000 who've served is as high as it is in any state or higher.
And just remember, along with that, not only per capita of those who serve, but also for other issues. For example, veteran suicide,
Right.
where sadly we are one of the leaders in that in the United States.
No doubt. So, and you brought up suicide, and mental health is mental health is a issue everywhere these days. But there are definitely folks coming out of service, and not just combat service, but others of service with mental health disabilities and with other types of disabilities. You yourself acquired the disabilities that you talk about
Yeah.
as a result of your service, correct?
Yes. My main disabilities, I guess you would say, is obviously I've got physical disabilities. In my back and neck, I've got a whole lot of compressed, herniated, bulging, just messed up discs. I myself, I have PTSD, anxiety, and quite a few other disabilities. Just as a lot of the veterans do, coming back overseas, primarily the ones that served in a combat situation, a lot of those are related to that. But we also have people who got out of the military who have other disabilities, as you and I talked about earlier today.
Yep.
So disability among veterans, you don't have to be in a combat zone or in that environment to receive disabilities. Commonly, loss of sight, loss of hearing are huge. So there is a lot of disabilities that we work with every day.
Yep. How has your experience shaped the work you are doing and hope to do with us here at Lift?
Okay. So one of the things about veterans, which not everybody knows and understands, veterans were unique for a couple reasons. One, for what we did and how we served our country. But one of the biggest misunderstandings of veterans are services. For example, there are a lot of veterans who have hesitancy with the medical field. For one reason or another, they might not be eligible for VA services. But yet, on the flip side of that, they don't want to go to a civilian doctor because they think the civilian doctor might not understand them. And so they'd much rather see someone who's a veteran. I myself personally, I prefer veteran doctors, but to me it doesn't really matter. And so the way that I feel that my position helps us moving forward and currently is that I understand veterans. I understand veterans who have disabilities related to their time in service, whether combat related or not. And I have a very large passion for helping those veterans out who need it. In the Billings office for Lift, if veterans need assistance, I'm primarily the person they'll talk to. Even though I'm trying to cross-train the other independent living specialists to how to work with the veterans, and things they need for paperwork, this, that, blah, blah. I'm the primary guy because I understand veterans and I want to do everything I can to support them and make them successful in the future. I understand where they're at, and also being a certified behavioral health peer support specialist, I add that little bit of flair to helping the veterans.
Right, and again, peer support is one of our core independent living services, and being a veteran means you are a peer to a veteran, because almost all of us on staff are peers of people with disabilities, but you do have that extra experience, for lack of a better term.
And it's also the idea of just talking to the veterans.
Yeah.
One thing I used to love doing when I was younger, or even now, I like talking to veterans because a lot of times you could help them just by having a dialogue with them, talking to them how their day is. And it's going to revert back to things that happened some time ago when they were, in previous life in the military. But a lot of time helping them goes a long way. Just talking to them goes a long way.
It does. Can you talk a little bit about some of you mentioned when a veteran comes into our office, what are some of the services that they're seeking. Obviously, they're seeking many of the same services our other consumers
Yep.
are seeking, but are there some special things that we can help them with that maybe?
Absolutely. So a lot of soldiers, or I'm sorry, service members, one of the biggest things that I see is them helping get their military records, both the personnel records as well as the medical records. We've had a large uptick in veterans coming in trying to get those records, and so that is something that we can definitely do. One of the most important documents that the veterans are looking for is their DD-214. The DD-214 talks about when they joined the military, when they got essentially everything,
Yeah,
to include their awards,
the-
decorations, the duty stations, and that's the jumping point, that's the start point of what we need to start services. Another thing they need is a lot of them are coming in because they do not have any medical benefits. And a lot of these veterans, unfortunately, didn't lean forward in that foxhole when they got out of the military to think, well, was I disabled in the military? Would I be eligible for VA disability services? So that is something we help them do. With that said, though, the first thing we have to do, though, is make sure they have their records. Now, that is a lengthy process with us, and working with the consumer, the initial part takes 15 minutes. We fill out the paperwork, we mail the paperwork off. The delay, though, is waiting for those documents to come in.
Right.
Those documents will go directly to that consumer's, where they decide their home, their P.O. box, or wherever the case is.
Yeah.
We can opt for the records come to us, but I'd prefer the records go to the veteran. Once they receive those records, then we start the next steps of what they need. Whether it is getting their personnel files, so then their medical records, so we get them a disability rating, or whatever the case. Not that long ago, we helped a veteran who needed assistance with a VA home loan.
Okay.
And so we got the certificate of eligibility for them, and that was actually pretty simple. And so we can provide a lot of service for the veterans. The biggest thing they got to do is just be willing to call us up or come in and talk to me.
Great. Right now and you're obviously aware, and I'm aware that Lyft is working on some projects to help increase our outreach to the veteran community. I know one of them, there's a resource fair coming up in February. Do you have the details on that?
So it is a resource fair for veterans. It is February 10th, which is Saturday, I believe. The host of that will be the Veterans Navigation Network. And it's just a resource fair for the veterans.
It's the Billings Hotel and Convention
Yes,
Center.
Billings Hotel and Convention
you can
Center.
Google Veterans Navigation Network and find the information, and we'll be cross-posting some of that as it gets closer on our own.
And I figure, exactly. We post the information so the way the veterans can see it, and we'll be there setting up the booth. So that way we can have information.
Again, I've been in an email chain. There's almost any service provider you could need to talk to will be there at some point during the day.
Yes.
As well as some special things for kids and families. And
So it's going to be a pretty good event. Another thing that we just started here in Yellowstone County, we have an amazing service for veterans who got into a little bit of trouble. That is with the 13th District Court with Judge Nisley, the Campbell Court.
Okay.
Campbell is, now my mind went blank, I'm sorry about that. But essentially what it is, it's a drug treatment court. So let's say if you have a person who got in trouble with the law, let's say unfortunately it was a DUI or something of that nature, work with the court to take care of the offense and be more successful in the future. We just started this program, In fact, our first day in the courtroom will be not next Wednesday, however, it will be the following Wednesday. We'll be sitting there loud and proud with the Camel Court. So hopefully that's going to be a good event, because we're going to get more word about LIFT, what we do, and how we could help the people that were veterans who might have gotten into a little bit of trouble. Another service that we're looking at starting is we're looking at starting a peer support group for veterans. Now, with that said, it's not going to be the standard peer support group where you go into the conference room and everybody sits down and talks about their feelings or what's going on. We're going to do more outdoorsy stuff. The first 1 or 2 times we get together, we might be in the conference room, we might be, or the community room, we might be talking about upcoming events, what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. But after that, though, we'll be going outside, bicycle riding, many adventures, something to get the veterans up and moving, get them active, because you know as well as I do, I'm a big child when I'm bored, and so are a lot of other veterans. So we're going to try to get people up and moving. Right now, we're looking at a start date that I'd like to see it start is in March. Maybe not the bicycle riding then due to weather, but who says we can't go out and go bowling? Who says we can't do something to get them out of their minds, get them doing something physical, something moving, and hopefully it'll help them in the future. Another service that we're looking at possibly starting in the future is, and I did not bring the documentation with me, unfortunately, and I apologize about that. But in the states such as the Carolinas, Colorado, they have a program that gets the veterans up, gets them moving, get them hiking, get them mountain climbing, you know, things that really they like to do.
Adaptive recreation.
Yep, and we're going to look at doing that. Our executive director, Carlos Ramalho, and I were in communication about starting this, and I'll be reaching out to the organization most likely next week, see if we do something similar here in the Billings area for the veterans, which I think would be a really good program.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yep.
I know of here in Montana, particularly, I believe it's in the Livingston area, which is just 90 miles to the southwest of us. There's a nationally known fly fishing for veterans program that.
Well, I do know that here in the state of Montana, there are organizations take veterans out fishing, takes them out hunting, whitewater rafting. This is something that I think as time goes on, I would like to see us progress into something of that nature where we're out, we're doing something, we're helping the veterans, we're getting them out of their shells and making them more successful as time goes on. But it's going to take a little time to build that foundation.
And again,
I think the goal to that is going to be working with community partners. There's already models out there that we can emulate to make this happen. So that's something that we're looking about doing.
That's great. Sort of to sum everything up here, again, whether it's the all-volunteer nature of our military or other, the institutional nature of the military and what folks who serve do on a day-to-day basis or something, it's not, how do we connect, not just the disability communities, the veterans and the non-veterans, but how do we connect folks to the, it's like 2% of the population serves and another 10% is connected to them as friends and family, which is a lower number than in previous generations. But so is there something that as a community we should be thinking about, to sort of not only welcome our veterans and make sure they're cared for, and their widows and orphans, to use Abraham Lincoln's words. But to sort of integrate them back into civilian life, or
So I think the key part of that, and a key part of anything we do with our consumers, veteran or non-veteran, the first step as far as that I believe is crucial is starting that dialogue, communicating with them. Because it doesn't matter, to me, Lyft, we're amazing because we help everybody and we help them where they're at. And so I think that one of the best ways of integrating them into the community after the time of service they spent, just that, starting that dialogue, talking to them. Obviously, see what other services they need, but figure out a way, like I mentioned before, get them out of their heads. A lot of veterans, unfortunately, when they come back after multiple deployments and everything else going on, they stop and think too much, or they spend too much downtime not doing anything away from the couch. So starting the dialogue with them, find out what their interests are, placing them in a position where they could do stuff away from the couch, away from their home, and hopefully do stuff in the community. A lot of volunteers, believe it or not, a lot of veterans love volunteers, love to be volunteers. So maybe open the doors, volunteers. Here at Lyft, we could use volunteers like crazy. And there's a lot of other organizations out there as well that can use volunteers. And one thing that I love about the veteran community is civilian people are the same way, people never served are the same way, but most veterans will be there on time, if not at least 15, 20 minutes prior to when they have to be there. A good chance is that you don't have to worry about them as far as, they'll be drug-free, and they'll be really passionate about what they do. So opening that door, knocking down the barriers for them to get access to help people, I think would be important.
All right. And with that, we will wrap up, and no doubt we will revisit this topic in other episodes and other formats of our public relations in the future. Thank you, John. Again, this has been Living Well in Montana. For more information about Lyft, please visit lift.org. Thank you and good day.